And what's up, everybody? It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and I'm back with part 2 of my tier list series. Today we're going to be talking about primary position shooting guards and ranking the best shooting guards in NBA 2K21 My Team. We got some parameters, let's get those out of the way. Number 1, only primary position shooting guards on this list. If you're looking for guys who are small forward slash shooting guard or point guard slash shooting guard, those would be on the point guard tier list or the small forward tier list. Now, I am kind of factoring in guys that play different positions, and if they play them well, they will get factored into their ranking a little bit. We got our tiers. S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. I will talk about each of them and why they're up here. A tier, guys who are just a shade under S tier, but they're still incredibly good, and if you upgrade to any of these guys, they will basically make your team better, essentially. B tier, guys who are right in the middle of the road. You might think these guys deserve to be in A tier, you might think these guys deserve to be in C tier. I'm trying to factor in all play styles in both gens here, so for you personally, like a guy that's in B tier might be in A tier for you, and that's cool. No need to spawn hatred in the comments for that. C tier, specialist guys, or guys that are getting outdated to a certain extent. D tier, they do a couple things well, but for the most part, any guy in C tier will be an upgrade over them. And F tier guys, they're just not it. I don't have a worthless tier because I'm just ranking essentially the top 80 in the game. I don't think any of them are necessarily worth it, but I will clarify why guys are in F tier. So, without further ado, let's get started. Adrian Dantley, F tier. For a free card, he's not, like, terrible. Like, if you get him for free, he's fine to use, but I mean, objectively, I think he's F tier just for what he brings to the table. I mean, you might argue and be like, he's in D tier for me or C tier for you, but I think overall he's probably an F tier guy. I don't think many people are going to argue that. Allen Houston. I'd put him in D tier because he's still got a money jump shot. I like Allen Houston. I was really disappointed in this card, though, because Allen Houston, in the beginning of the year, was the best card in the game, in my opinion. Is it a correct opinion? Nah. But when you can shoot fadeaway three-pointers at the clip he was shooting at the beginning of the year, it's hard to really say any other card is really better. Zach LaVine moments. Orange juice. A tier. He's a little T-Mac clone. He is really good, and I would say he's just a shade under, like, S tier. Like, this Zach LaVine is no joke. The fact that he was under 100k for a little bit is crazy just because of how good this card is. Zach LaVine's really good this year. 33 Hawk badges, 21 golds. The only thing that really hurts him is his releases on quick, which is totally fine, but if it was on very quick, I think he'd be like almost as good as DeMar DeRozan, realistically. But I mean, overall, he's solid. He doesn't really lack anything. He's about as good as you can get without going into like dark matter territory. This dude's a monster, and I'm a Bulls fan, and I actually don't like Zach LaVine in real life. I know, blasphemy, but it's true. Allen Iverson from the Spotlight series. C tier. He plays really well at point guard. He is small, but, I mean, dude can get buckets. He's just not bringing you anything defensively. But this one, at least, plays competent enough defense. And Allen Iverson, honestly, has the best steal animations in the entire game. It's like him, Jordan, and Gary Payton have some of the best steal animations. Allen Iverson will get you more steals than any guard in this game. I think he even gets more steals, especially against the CPU, than someone like Michael Jordan, just because of his size and stature. Ben Gordon. Man, I love this card when it came out, but no. C tier. He's a little small. I like how they showed love to my boy Ben Gordon, though. He never gets love in 2K, so that's cool, but he was just a little outdated. He came out back in Season 4, so like, it's not his fault. B.I. Yeah, B.I.'s a beast. I'd put him in B tier. Is he one of the best cards in B tier? I don't think so, necessarily, but he's a B tier guy, through and through. B.I. is a beast, man. Bruce Bowen. Yeah, this one might be controversial, but I think he deserves to be in B tier. This dude plays lockdown defense. He has a money jump shot. He's very middle of the road B tier, but for a free card especially, he's definitely better than Ben Gordon and Allen Iverson at the shooting guard position for sure. Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's probably C tier. He's good. Like, he can still get buckets, but he plays, like, very bad defense. But he makes a lot of whites, I will say. Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin's a beast. Chris Mullin has base 22, which is Debatable on if it makes the most whites or the second most whites in the game. I'm not entirely sure. But good size, money jump shot, under 100k. Solid overall card. If you're looking for like a budget-ish, budget-adjacent card to play at the shooting guard position, like Chris Mullin is not a bad option. Scottie Pippen. Another controversial one. I think Scottie Pippen deserves to be in B tier, personally. He is one of the best defensive cards in the entire game. He's got kind of a slow jump shot, but his jump shot on very quick is not bad. And I want to say this one is on quick. I don't think this one is on very quick. Quick's not terrible either. Brian Russell has it too. Let me see. Yeah, it's on quick. It's jump shot 30, which isn't great. But it's a good catch and shoot release. It's a little bit slow, but it's not terrible. But what he brings defensively is so next level compared to the other guys in B tier. Like Bruce Bowen is comparable defensively. I still think Scottie Pippen is better though, just because of his player build and his speed. Kevin Porter Jr. Where's my number one hater at? Kevin Porter Jr. is C tier. Like, he's okay. Like, he does not deserve to be on the same level as these guys in B tier. Yeah, one person in the comments might be like, oh, I'm a beast with Kevin Porter Jr. Like, I like him better than Chris Mullin, Brandon Ingram, Bruce Bowen, and Scottie Pippen. That doesn't mean he's better card. Like, it doesn't. I'm sorry. Like, he's solid, man. He's C tier. He's a Ruby. Like, he's C tier. I know you're going to sit there and take my he's a Rubicon, like, out of context, but, like, he's got 40-something gold badges, no hops, which is fine, but he's not on this level. I'm sorry. Clyde Drexler. Drexler's B tier. Like, he's still really good, especially for a free reward card. Like, he's a monster. He's getting slightly outdated, same with, like, Scottie Pippen, but he's not there yet. Cuttino Mobley. I think Cuttino is the best card in C tier, for sure. Like, Cuttino is definitely better than Kevin Porter Jr., no question. The only thing that hurts Cuttino is just his size, and his defensive abilities aren't crazy good. Like, they're not terrible. He's a better defender than Buddy Hield and Kevin Porter, but I don't know. He's just small, too. Like, 6'4" is not small, but for whatever reason, Cuttino Mobley's player build makes him look so much smaller. Jump shot 26 isn't a terrible release, but it's not like an Apex great release either. I mean, it's pretty good. Like, I like it, but I know a lot of people do not. I just think instead of using Cuttino Mobley, who, by the way, at point guard, like, he's really solid. It's just at shooting guard, I don't know if I would run him over these guys. Dale Ellis. Dale Ellis is a straight-up beast. Like, he's definitely outdated at some point now, but as a pure 3-and-D guy, he definitely deserves C tier. Also, like, Dale Ellis is Monte Ellis' dad, so automatically he's tight. But his card, straight sniper, Ray Allen base, one of the best bases in the entire game for both greening and for making an absurd amount of whites. The only reason he's out of B tier is just because his defensive badges aren't good. D'Angelo Russell. You could argue for certain playstyles he may be B tier, but I think C tier makes the most sense for him. Darius Miles. Miles is actually good. I would put him like right over here, somewhere around. I think he's better than Bruce Bowen. Just that size, man. 6'9" at the 2 guard is really crazy. He attacks the rim really well. I wish his hot zones were a little bit better, but I still don't think that keeps him out of B tier. Like, he's that good. This is an obvious one. Like, DeMar DeRozan's just better as Zach LaVine, so S tier is where he goes. Everybody who plays this game has run into at least 5 to 6 sweaty-ass dudes who run DeMar DeRozan, and it's the most unstoppable thing in the world. Like, he's got a wet jump shot. He's got Trey Burke base. He dunks over almost everybody. He's fast. He can handle. He plays defense. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this DeMar DeRozan card. And in a lot of ways, he's actually better than Radioactive T-Mac. I'm a T-Mac stan, so it's hard for me to really say that, but I'll get into why he's better in a little bit once I get to T-Mac. Desmond Mason, if he could shoot a little better, he'd be in C tier, but because he can, he's over in D. It's better than Adrian Dantley, though. Nothing wrong with the card, but let's be real. Devin Booker. I'm going to probably keep Devin Booker on ice because he's tough to rank. I'm not a huge Devin Booker fan, and he wasn't good at all last year, but he's pretty decent this year. Like, He's got the same jump shot as Dirk, which I love. It's easy to green, but it misses a significant amount of whites, man, and it's so annoying. But this Devin Booker can dunk a little bit. He's got Hall of Fame steady. I would put him over in B tier if we're talking between next and current gen, because he's an absolute monster on next gen. And he's very usable on current gen, so I'd probably put him in B tier, probably a little ahead of Scotty, somewhere around here. I don't know. Devin Vassell. Vassell's not bad, but he's a pure 3-and-D guy. And what I mean by that is, like, Vassell is not hitting mid-ranges. They gave him a 77 mid, which is like, you're probably not going to shoot many mid-ranges anyway. But at the same time, like, why not give him like an 85 mid? He is 6'5", but his player build looks way bigger than that. It's tough. He's got a good badge count too, but he can't shoot from close. He can't shoot from mid. He can attack the rim, but he's still not great. He plays really good defense, though. I'd probably put him in C tier. Right ahead of Allen Iverson. He's good, but he's a pure 3-and-D guy. That's all you're getting from him. Dominique, where's Clyde Drexler? Yeah, they're right next to each other. They're really solid. You could argue that Devin Booker should be ahead of Dominique, but if I'm talking about both gens and his usability, I think Dominique is a little bit more versatile. That's the only reason he's ahead of Devin Booker. Donovan Mitchell? Yeah, where's Coutinho Mobley? He's like, Coutinho Mobley, D'Angelo Russell, like, they all deserve to be, like, right next to each other. Let's see. Drazen? Yeah, where's Allen Houston? Right here. He's not bad or anything, but, you know, Drazen, Allen Houston, it definitely... They're pretty comparable, man. I like Drazen this year, though, I'm not going to lie. Like, he's really good, surprisingly. Last year, I don't think Drazen was really that good, but I don't know. Evan Fournier. Fournier is another tough card to rank. Now, I love this card, so I'm trying to put my personal bias aside. But, like, he is a little bit slow. He doesn't attack the rim. He's purely, like, 3-and-D. He's not that much. He's tough, man. It's like he's got a better jump shot than Scottie Pippen, but at the same time, like, he's a little more sluggish. He doesn't play as good defense. He plays better defense than Dale Ellis. I'd put him at, like, the end of B tier. He's probably going to get moved down to C tier at some point, so don't freak out yet, but that's probably where I'd put him. Felipe's a god. C tier. He's a beast. Hoiberg's pretty decent, but I think Felipe's better, and that's the only reason he's down in D tier. Quickly's really good. I'd put him at B tier. Plays better as a point guard, but can't deny he's just a superior version to, like, Donovan Mitchell, Coutinho, and D'Angelo Russell. Isaac Okoro. Yeah, I actually think Okoro's B tier. Like, Okoro's actually a beast. I would actually legitimately use Okoro over Dale Ellis, Donovan Mitchell, Coutinho Mobley, D'Angelo, especially Kevin Porter. Like, he's really, really good. And don't let the Amethyst thing fool you. Like, Okoro is a beast. He has a crazy badge count, like 26 golds, 18 Hoffs, which is nuts for an Amethyst at this stage. He dunks, he shoots threes, he's fast, he can handle. There's absolutely nothing this card can't do. And for that reason, I'd put him in B tier. I would use him over Scottie Pippen, personally. Like, he's that good. I would use him over a lot of these cards. James Harden, I'd put him in F. He's just outdated. Not his fault. Jason Richardson, he's a beast. He's better than Kevin Porter. I don't care what anyone says. Jerry Sloan. Sloan's actually not that bad. I would do this and put Fournier down here and put Sloan in B tier. Like, is Sloan good? No. Is Sloan, like, about the most bang average card in the world? Absolutely. Plus, he's got a high badge count. Jump shot 70... The same release Yi has on Very Quick is pretty good, though I will say he misses a lot of whites, which is kind of a problem, but there's really nothing wrong with this card. I might even put him above Scotty, man. He plays good defense. It's just those defensive animations. Scottie Pippen is tough to rank because it's the same problem I had with Gary Payton in the point guard tier list. Like, his defensive animations are so good that even though he's an outdated card and he's not incredibly great at many things, he's very good at a bunch of things, but he's not really great at anything besides defense. It's hard to really rank him, but I'm gonna still keep him in B tier for now. Joe Dumars. I hate this card so much, dude. Like, I don't even know what's up with it. I don't know if I could necessarily put him in D tier because, like, I think he's the best card in D tier, probably overall, but, like, don't use Joe Dumars. Like, he's got Jump Shot 36, which in theory isn't bad, but it's only on quick, and it just feels so sluggish, man. And his ball handle's pretty whack. Like, I don't know. I just don't like this card. I mean, if you like this card, I'd keep him in D tier for now. I might move him up, though, because, like, objectively, he's probably better than, like, Felipe Lopez. And I don't know. I hate this card. Fight me. Juan Carlos Navarro. He's still the sweatiest card in existence, so I'd put him down in B tier. He's still an unstoppable scoring machine. He just plays, like, no defense. So he might get moved down to C tier, but I still think he's good enough to be in B for now. Alright, where's my Kevin Porter Jr. stand at? Because I'm going to put this card in S tier because he is that good. He's just a beast, man. There's nothing... That lefty release is crazy and really hard to play defense on, too. And, like, KPJ is just a J.R. Smith clone. And at the 2 guard, he's lights out. Pink Diamond Dwayne Wade. This one hurts me because I love this card in the Opal so much, but I would put him at the top of C tier. Like, I think him and the other Dwayne Wade are just a little bit outdated, but they're still really good. Like, I'd put him, like, right here. It's not their fault. We need a new D-Wade card ASAP. I have changed my stance on Kawhi. I think he's A tier still. That release, man, it's just so good. And it makes so many whites. And if I'm factoring in next gen, too, the fact that he is steady really helps him out. There's a reason a bunch of the comp guys still run this Kawhi Leonard. He's still a beast, man. Kobe. Just a little sluggish, but he's still one of the better cards in C tier. I don't think he's B tier. I know it looks blasphemous to put Kobe down here and have Juan Carlos Navarro pumping his hands up here, but it's a video game, and that's how it is, man. MJ. F. I hate the beginning of the year MJ cards are always the worst because they never allow him to shoot, which is, like, fine, but damn, dude, at least give my man, like, an 81 three-pointer, I promise. Like, you don't have to give him a 95, but you can give him, like, a 78. I mean, it's real life, though. Like, I get it. The earlier stage Jordan, he couldn't really shoot that well, but it's just annoying. Like, this one is especially annoying because when he came out, like, Jordan should have been able to shoot a little better than this. Ruby Kobe. I'd put Ruby Kobe in the bottom of C tier, too. He doesn't have range extender, but he can have it ended. But, I don't know. It's like I try not to rank cards based on if they're badged up or anything, but this card's good enough without range extender that he deserves to be here because he plays excellent defense, he attacks the rim, he can ball handle. He's a really good card. Kobe release is nice this year, especially on quick. Alright, this one might be a little bit objected, but I think Kyle Korver is legitimately one of the best cards in B tier. Look, I'm not going to go crazy, but I honestly believe he is the best card in B tier. I know, blasphemy, but I really do think Kyle Korver is that good. Like, this Warped Reality Kyle Korver is nasty, man. He dunks, he has a lights-out jump shot that makes a lot of whites. He plays lockdown defense, and he's fast. The problem with Kyle Korver is always that he's slow and doesn't play any defense. And now he's not slow, and he plays excellent defense. So, what more can you say? And if you're sitting there protesting this, you haven't used this card. Like, he's better than Chris Mullin, I swear. Gerald Green. Gerald Green is excellent. I would put him in B tier as well. He's almost unstoppable offensively. He plays pretty good defense, too. And he can shoot. This card's nice. Lionel Simmons. I think Lionel Simmons is still, like, bottom row B tier. Like, he's still really good. We just got so many good diamonds this year, or this season, I should say, that Lionel Simmons kind of got forgotten about, but I would use Lionel over every single guy in C tier. Malik Beasley. Malik's really good. I would say he's just a shade worse than some of the guys in B tier. Doesn't mean he's bad. He is good. But I just don't think he's quite at B tier level. Like, I think Lionel Simmons is a little bit better than Malik Beasley just because of his size. Zach LaVine. This one's fine. I'll put him right by, like, Felipe Lopez and Kobe. Like, somewhere down there. He's good, though. He's really good. Personally, I think he's a little better than Kevin Porter Jr. Malik Sealy. This one is going to enrage people. And look, I will say it right now. If you have badged your Malik Sealy up, he is B tier. But if you're buying a brand new Malik Sealy at this stage in the game, he is C tier. Honestly, I might even take Malik Beasley over him. He's still good. He's just super outdated at this point. Like, his badge count's kind of low. Still got a good jump shot. Still got a good player build, but stats and badges are just low at this stage, especially compared to a lot of the guys in B tier. I'll take Kyle Korver over him 10 out of 10 times. I take Okoro over him, honestly, at this stage. Manu. Manu's just not good this year. They do a Manu so dirty with his cards. Marquise Johnson. I actually like this card, but I will say, unless you badge him up, he's D tier. If you badge him up, he's probably upper C. Depending how hard you badge him up, possibly like B tier maybe. But yeah, right off the rip, he's D tier. Clay. Clay's a beast, but I put him in C tier. It's not really his fault. He has a glitch that he switches onto the center on current gen, which is super annoying. He has the dynamic duo with Draymond, and that actually makes them both pretty good. But he's a 3-and-D guy, and I don't think he's really at the level of some of these guys in B tier. Billy Owens? I'm going to put him in B tier. But I will say, like, personally, I don't like this card. I know a lot of people do like this card. He's got a great player build. I wish he had hot zones at the top of the key. Plays a little bit better as a small forward, but he's not bad at all. I like him. I just don't think he's necessarily like C tier. I would say he's like, you could put him around Okoro level, probably. I don't know. I think he's like, nah, I'll put him right there. That's fine. JR. JR's S tier. I personally think he's a little bit better than Kevin Porter Jr. Not by much, but just a tiny little bit. He's just, I don't know. I like him more. I just like that release. JR's release just feels different coming off a right-handed shooter. But that's probably personal bias on that one. So, I mean, you could really flip-flop these guys around. It doesn't matter. They're basically the same card with a different shooting hand. MJ. Ooh, MJ is tough, man. I still think he's better than all the cards in C tier. I don't necessarily think he's great. I would say he's up with Scotty. Like, they're both kind of just outdated. It's not really their fault. Juan Carlos Navarro can go down there too. But he's still B tier adjacent. Like, objectively, he's still a little bit better than Malik Sealy and Clay. Overall, for both gens and stuff too. Dark Matter MJ, I would put in A tier. He's still A tier. I don't think he's quite S tier, but A tier makes sense for him. Michael Redd. Michael Redd's tough, man. I like Michael Redd. I've played with him a few times. I typically don't go for the unlimited rewards this year just because it's kind of a pain. So I never play in a crazy in-depth amount with these cards, but he does have the Ray Allen base. He's a good card. I would put him over here somewhere. Like, where's Clyde Drexler? He might be better than Bruce Bowen, realistically. He's B tier. He's good enough. Gary Trent. This card is the most hated on card in the game, I think, personally. And I don't think he's bad necessarily. Like, he's 6'6" with a 6'9" wingspan. He's got a good badge count. I don't think Jump Shot 18 is that bad. Like, I actually really like it, especially on very quick. Like, Ron Harper, I'm wet with Ron Harper, man. I like Ron Harper. Yeah, he's not bad, dude. He's got a lack of defensive badges, but I would throw him low B tier, personally. Like, all these guys in B tier, you can get away with running at this point. Zach LaVine is low B tier as well. Like, no joke. This card is outdated, and most people have it for free at this point, but that doesn't mean he's not a very usable card. I'd even be willing to say he's better than Opal Jordan. No joke. Mitch Richmond. I'd put him in C tier somewhere. Like, he's alright. He's not very good, but he's okay. Mo Peterson. There's going to be a lot of cards in B tier because I just think that the shooting guard position itself is one of the most balanced positions in the game. Like, there's so many usable options right now that B tier is going to be a little more unbalanced than it normally is, because I would say Mo Pete is B tier as well. I know a lot of people do not agree with that statement, but he's got a money jump shot. He's got range. He can attack the rim a little bit. Plays competent enough defense. Maybe he gets dropped. Like, he's probably the one I would drop over anybody. Him and, like, Juan Carlos Navarro. Because Juan Carlos is a beast at point guard, but he's not a good shooting guard, so I'll drop Juan Carlos. Like I said, like I try to factor in them playing other positions, but at the end of the day, like it's just still a shooting guard tier list, so he gets a little bit of a boost, but I don't think it's enough of a boost to keep him out of C tier. He's not. Do not play him at shooting guard. Norman Powell. Norman Powell is a monster. I'm not even kidding. Norman Powell is so good. He's small at 6'4". Yes. His player build does look better and bigger than 6'4". Whatever reason, he's got Rondo and Trevor Ariza have the same jump shot as him, and it makes so many whites coming out of Norman Powell's hands. I'm assuming that has to do with his release 80 upper, because it's crazy. Go play against Norman Powell. He'll be ice cold and just bang contested whites. I don't get it. Like, his card has to have some sort of glitch attached to it. I have no idea. He is a beast. Like, he will probably get moved down. Him and Mo Pete will be very, very likely moved down at some point. But, yeah. Pete Maravich, A tier. I mean, I don't like him that much, but he's really good. A little bit small. His defense isn't great, but he can hoop. No joke. I think Zach LaVine's still the best card in A tier, but Q Rich, I would throw Q Rich down here by like Malik Beasley and Klay Thompson and Malik Sealy, probably. Somewhere around there. He's good, though. Ray Allen. Ooh, Ray Allen's tough. I actually like this card a lot. He makes an absurd amount of whites. Is he necessarily B tier? I mean, he is kind of a one-trick pony. He's a sharpshooter, and that's about it. But he's good, though. I'd put him in C tier, but I will say, if you have him, he's incredibly usable. Don't let the C tier thing scare you off. Like, he makes more whites than anyone in this game. I guarantee he makes more whites than anyone on this entire list. I'm not even kidding. Like, if you're not the best at greening shots and you need guaranteed buckets, like Ray Allen is one of the best cards for that in this entire game. He's not going to bring you too much else, but yeah. Havlicek. Havlicek's still good enough to be A tier, though he is kind of slipping. Not really his fault. I mean, he came out, 2 seasons ago? The Inferno pack, so like season 4. He's still a bucket, though. Ronald Murray. Where's Felipe Lopez at? He's around here. So yeah, Felipe. I prefer Felipe, but Ronald Murray's fine, too. Anthony Edwards, I'd probably throw in C tier as well. Once again, not really his fault, but he's just a bang average card. Rudy Fernandez, I swear they have nerfed him at some point because he just does not feel the same. But like objectively, you cannot tell me that Kevin Porter Jr. is better than Rudy Fernandez because A, you're tripping, and B, you're just biased at that point. Bradley Beal, if he could play the point guard position, I would put him in B tier, but because he can't, he's just too small to play shooting guard. If you're playing offline challenges and stuff, he's fine, but when you take it to unlimited, like, he's just going to get beat up by a larger shooting guard. Like, if he could play point guard, I'm not kidding, I would put him in B tier, no question. Like, because if he could play point guard, he's better than Juan Carlos Navarro. And I know it might be blasphemous to say he's worse than Gary Trent, but at the shooting guard position, I generally think he is. That's another personal preference, though. Some people may love Bradley Beal and think he deserves to be up in B tier. I just think he's a little too small to be in that B tier area. But like I said, if you could play point guard, I think he'd be more useful. And objectively, he's probably better than Norman Powell a little bit, but Norman Powell plays so much better defense. Shea. Shea's good. Way too expensive. Not really that great, but he's okay, you know? Terrence Ross. Terrence Ross is just a bit outdated, but he's fine. Like, he's objectively just okay. James Harden. I'd put James Harden in B tier. I think that's where he belongs. Still usable. Wish he played better defense, but... And he can play point guard. Basically, everything I said about Bradley Beal would go for James Harden as well. My boy Tim Legler. I actually love this card, but, like, him and Fred Hoiberg need to be right next to each other. Now we got the T-Max. Pink Diamond T-Mac. The most disappointing card, personally, for me this entire year. Inferno T-Mac is still, no joke, A tier. I think he's better than Havlicek. And then Radioactive T-Mac. Who, look, I don't have the S-tier guys ranked in any specific way. So don't look at this and think DeMar's the best and blah, blah, blah. No, they're not really ranked because they're all S-tier guys. I will say, if I had to actually rank them, I would say T-Mac is the worst S tier guy. And I know. It's because he has that load up trot animation that requires you to bust a dribble move to get out of, which is so infuriating. It's the same thing that like Magic Johnson has and a bunch of other cards have it. And I wish they would get rid of that trot animation for T-Mac, because the Inferno T-Mac does not have that trot animation. Like, he doesn't at all. I never experienced it with Inferno T-Mac, but I experienced it with the Radioactive T-Mac, which makes him feel sluggish at times. And for that reason, that's why I think DeMar DeRozan is slightly better than T-Mac, just because DeMar does not have that issue at all. JR doesn't, Kevin Porter doesn't, Zach LaVine doesn't, but this T-Mac card really is that good even with it, so. Ariza. Ariza's a beast. He's better than Darius Miles. He's better Darius Miles. I would say he's better than Harden at the shooting guard position. I would be willing to say he's better than Brandon Ingram. I know, blasphemy, because I love B.I., but yeah, that's probably where I'd put him. He's a beast. Tyler Hero. Where's Ray Allen? Yep, C tier. Solid enough. Oladipo. I'm going to drop Norman Powell and put Oladipo right here, because Norman Powell is probably the best person in C tier. But I think I'm higher on Norman Powell right now just because of recency bias, but Oladipo's objectively really good, and he's only 6'4", but his player build looks so much bigger. He's got such a big head for some reason. Mo Peterson's probably the worst. I'll probably end up dropping him as well. Let's see. Yeah, I will, because Vincenity's in the mix, and Vincenity's still good. Like, Vince Carter still deserves to be over by, yeah, like right here. So I'll drop Mo Peterson. Still think, yeah, Bradley Beal, Norman Powell, Mo Pete, yep. Actually like him the best. Juan Carlos, yeah, where you at? There we go. That's a more accurate representation. This Klay Thompson, I mean, he's basically the same as this one. So I don't really think there's too much of a difference there. Like I said, if they got rid of that Klay Thompson glitch, like, I would move Klay Thompson up a bit. It's just such an annoying thing to have. Like, having Klay Thompson go and guard the center every time is so infuriating. Like, his release is the best catch-and-shoot release in the game, but it's not like he's a bad defender, but, like, if you're on Unlimited and you're playing against someone who has, like, Wilt or Kareem, and you have Klay Thompson keep going down there and defending him, yeah, you can fix it by going through, like, the lineup screen and everything like that, but, I mean, if you're watching a tier list for advice, like, do you want to have to do that every time? No, you don't. Especially when you can take the production of Klay Thompson, you can just go get Trevor Ariza, who plays just as good defense and is just as good of a catch-and-shoot player. And Brandon Roy, who B-Roy is definitely still A tier. Like, he's still good. All of these guys in A tier are still more than usable at this point. Like, Pete Maravich, if I had to drop one out of it, would probably be the one that I would drop. But I really don't think any of these guys deserve to be dropped. Like, I don't think Pete Maravich is all that different from Havlicek. Like, realistically, I don't think he is. And, like, objectively, Jordan's probably overall better than Brandon Roy and T-Mac, but I don't think he is. I think these two guys still play excellent defense, and they dunk the ball really well. They just do everything really well. Kawhi's still better, though. There's a reason people still use him. His defensive animations are fake. Anyways, it has been your boy Cheap Ludes. Let me know down in the comments what you think. I know you guys will. I'm sure there'll be some mean-spirited stuff down there at some point from randoms who don't even subscribe to my channel. I'll be back to do the small forwards later today. Just the worst. The absolute worst position in NBA 2K21, my team. Like, it's awful. I really hope Season 7 brings us more small forwards just for my tier list sake. But yeah, let me know if you agree, disagree with any of the stuff on here. I try to make my list as unbiased as possible. I figured the shooting guard one would be the most contentious, as it typically is. Just because people love their shooting guards, man. I know there's at least going to be a couple people who are mad about Malik Steely. I understand. Like I said, we can have discourse down in the comments. It's cool. Check the description for all my stuff. If you're new to the channel and you made it this far, you might as well subscribe, man. And I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.